We all know him for being assassinated, but do we really know about the rest of his life? In this presentation, I'll be delving into the life of John F. Kennedy and how he got into politics and became president. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was born on the 29th of May, 1917, to Joseph P. Kennedy and Rose Fitzgerald in Brooklyn, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. His family were Catholic Irish Americans, emigrating from the famine. His father, Joseph, would later become US Ambassador for the UK, and his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, would also later serve as US Attorney, both serving the Democratic Party. In 1941, just prior America's entry to World War II, John F. Kennedy was accepted into the Naval Reserves, stationed in South Carolina, and assigned in 1943 to the South Pacific. In April 1943, he was assigned to Motor Torpedo Squadron 2 and frequently engaged with Japanese destroyers. Heroic acts from Kennedy led him to awards such as the Navy and Marine Corps Medal, the Purple Heart Badge, American Defense Service Medal, American Campaign Medal, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal with 3 stars, and a World War II Victory Medal. After being pushed into politics by his father, Kennedy was given a seat to become the mayor of Boston in 1946. Kennedy won the campaign with 42% of the vote. In 1946, Kennedy was voted into the US House of Representatives, being only 29 years old. He served there for 6 years between 1947 to 1953. His ideals mainly revolved around better treatment for veterans and a better healthcare system, all while promoting democracy and being against the spread of communism. In 1953, Kennedy, at only 36, just 6 years over the age limit, was elected to the US Senate. In the same year, he married his wife, Jacqueline Bouvier.
I am today announcing my candidacy for the Presidency of the United States.
On the first days of 1960, Kennedy announced his candidacy for the Democratic Party for the 1960 presidential election. Being the age of 42 at the time and being an Irish Catholic, he had major opposition to him, being seen as inexperienced as well as being vulnerable to Catholic hate. On September 12th, he addressed his religion in a speech to Protestant ministers in Houston, where he mentioned there were greater problems, such as the spread of communism, where he stated,
I want to emphasize from the outset that I believe that we have far more critical issues in the 1960 campaign. The spread of communist influence, until it now festers only 90 miles from the coast of Florida,
as well as naming off other issues.
The hungry children I saw in West Virginia, the old people who cannot pay their doctor's bills, the families forced to give up their farms, and America with too many slums.
He also stated that his own personal religion should not be what the country allies itself to, but to the country herself. After a strong debate against Republican candidate Richard Nixon, Kennedy won the election with an extremely tight 49.7% majority vote compared to Nixon's 49.5% vote. On the 20th of January 1961, Kennedy was sworn in as the 35th President of the United States, being the youngest ever elected president and the first ever Catholic president. Kennedy strongly opposed communism and was the president at the time of the Cold War. In April 1961, Kennedy gave the go-ahead for the Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba, where CIA-trained Cuban insurgents started a small coup in the Bay of Pigs, Cuba. This invasion was unsuccessful. In 1961, he met with then Soviet Union leader Nikita Khrushchev in Vienna to discuss over East Germany and the Berlin Wall. However, Khrushchev saw the president as weak, and nothing came from this meeting. In late 1961, in response to the pushing of an invasion of Cuba, Soviet leader Khrushchev increased their assistance to Cuba and started to construct nuclear rocket launch sites. After photos were shown to him, Kennedy had 2 choices: destroy the sites but face nuclear war with the Soviets, or ignore the sites, potentially causing nuclear invasion. Not the best 2 choices. In October 1962, Kennedy gave the go-ahead to start a naval blockade around the surrounding waters. This way, preventing nuclear arms from going to Cuba. Throughout his presidency, President Kennedy was involved in historical events such as the space race, the Vietnam War, the Equal Pay Act, and the Civil Rights Movement. However, it was clear that many people had grew a hatred to Kennedy's actions. Unfortunately, on November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was shot and killed riding his presidential limousine. This was a major blow to the United States, and an extremely significant event in modern history. With that, Kennedy's incredible life had come to an early close. It is still uncertain over who killed Kennedy. However, it was Lee Harvey Oswald who was charged for it. However, he was never punished, as he himself was assassinated just 2 days later by local Jack Ruby. Was he really assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, or was it more cynical? Up to recent years, Kennedy's nephew, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has urged for the investigation documents to be released to the public. Do you think it was an inside job? Despite the answer, one thing is certain: John F. Kennedy contributed majorly to his country. And with that, I conclude this presentation. Thank you very much.